Great. Well, welcome everyone to the very first virtual chat with our current Westminster international students. My name is Quynh Killpack. I am an international admissions counselor. I work with international students from the very first day that you apply all the way until you arrive on campus, and I would love to keep in contact beyond that. And today we also have Nathan, and I'm going to let Nathan introduce himself.
Sure. Thank you all for coming tonight, this evening, or this morning from wherever you're at. My name is Nathan Jones. I'm the Director for International Admissions here at Westminster, and this is going on the end of my start of my third year here at Westminster College, the end of my second year. And we're really excited to be traveling hopefully this fall. COVID kept us from being able to travel. We went to 12 different countries in 2019 and 0 in 2020. So we're glad to at least be able to connect with you this way. So thank you all for joining.
Thank you, Nathan. Yeah, so you may have received and one or two emails from me and Nathan. So at least now we can finally kind of virtually meet. So just a little information that this panel will be like the first 30 minutes will be, just the questions for the panelists. If you have any questions or any comments, feel free to raise your hands, or you can write it down in the chat box. And the last 15 minutes, we will take your questions, so you can come unmute and ask the questions, or we can read it off the chat. And if you're wondering how do I mute or unmute myself, so Microsoft Teams have the bar in the top of your screen. It has a microphone. So if you're not talking, please mute yourself so that the speakers can be clear. And then if you're talking, just unmute yourself and talk. You will also see a little hand. If you click on that, I will see that you raise your hand, so then I know that you have a comment to say. And then also there's a little message, it's like a little text logo. So that's, if you click on that, and you will see our group chat, and you'll see that Nathan has shared a couple of pictures in there. So that's our group chat. So yes, anytime during the panel, if you have any questions or anything that you're wanting to know more about, please leave it in there. And again, this meeting is being recorded, so we can share with people after. Yeah, so that's just some housekeeping items, but let's get started. So today we have 4 amazing current Westminster students here, and I'm so excited for them to introduce themselves. So for the panelists, please tell the audience your name, your program of study, your year in college, and where you're from.
All right. Hi, my name is Swornim Chhetri. I use the pronoun he, him, his. I am a computer science and math major, and this is my 3rd year in Westminster College, so I'm a junior, and I am from Nepal.
Hi, my name is Cayla Martin. I am from Johannesburg, South Africa. I am currently majoring in biology and minoring in business. And I am first semester junior, so I'm starting my 3rd year at Westminster.
Hi, my name is Maimi, and I'm an international student from Vietnam. So I came all the way to US for music. I play a violin, and I'm going to share my experience today.
Hello. My name is Henriette Resen. I go by the She series, and I'm from Norway. I'm actually a sophomore at Westminster College, and I'm majoring in finance and international business.
Perfect. Seems like we have all of a variety in the programs, and home country. So yeah, welcome. So I have like a couple of questions that I prepared. I'm just gonna ask the panelists, and feel free to come unmute and answer. So our first question is, how did you first hear about Westminster, and what were one or more factors that led you to choose Westminster?
So the tertiary education system is really different in South Africa. So I had this company called Aspire Atlantic, and they profiled me and gave me like different options of colleges and universities that they thought would fit for me. And one of them was Westminster. And so then I did further research, and I definitely fell in love. The campus was just gorgeous, and what really attracted me was having the small college, having the small classes, and having a smaller college. I felt like that would be more welcoming and supportive for like just moving over here from South Africa. And also the location of Westminster, it's just like 10 minutes from the mountains where you can go hiking or skiing, and also just like 10 minutes from downtown. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm an alpine skier here at Westminster College. So I first heard about Westminster through my coach in Norway, because he went to school with my current coach here in the US, Chris Henriksen. And I later found out that a lot of Norwegian has attended Westminster in the past, like friends of my parents, older siblings of my friends and stuff. So I kind of reached out to them and talked to them about the school and how it was, and they told me about campus, the professors, the city, the mountains, the powder. It's quite unique. All the national parks in the area, and also having another college so close to Westminster. And everything seemed pretty cool and quite unique. And I have to admit, they were right. I'm pretty amazed by the place.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, those are so great. So my next questions is, what kind of, kind of like on-campus job or internships or research have you been involved with while at Westminster?
Yeah, so I work in the computer support help desk in IT department here. But last semester I was also a tutor for math and computer science, and I was also doing teacher assistant. So I was grading some of the assignments for one of the computer classes. And over last year, I was involved with some summer research with my professor, Dr. Daniel Salinas Duron, and Young Tai Lee, who is another international student that goes to Westminster College. So just briefly, we made artificial neural network that works like our brain, that can so that it can help to automate process like detecting birds from a picture. But yeah, that's all that I've been involved with so far.
In my first year, I actually worked in the international offices with Quynh and Nathan, which was really, really cool. And then I got really invested in a research project. So I just knew that I was going to spend the summer here in Utah, and I just asked all my professors if there was anything I could do, volunteer, work, anything. I just really wanted to be involved in the research. And I was so fortunate to work with Great Salt Lake Institute. And with that, I was placed on a project where we study tar seeps. So that sounds really weird, but basically what it is like oil and gas migrate up through cracks and fissures in the earth and then pull up on the surface. And so you can imagine, like, the first time I visited the seeps, I was just blown away. It's very outerworldly, but I was hooked. And so for the past 2 years, I've been visiting the seeps almost every 2 weeks and collect data, monitor the different animals that get entrapped in there. And then I also sample the tar, and I'm busy extracting DNA to see if there's anything that's living in the tar. And I think what's been so cool is that having like I said previously, the smaller college has really helped me to just fly with this project. My mentors are awesome. They just allow me to, if I come up with a weird idea, they're like, okay, let's see like what you can do with that. And so yeah, it's just been, I've been loving it.
That's so cool that you've been visiting it like every 2 weeks. And Nim, you have to tell me more about that project with the brain and the bird. So that's really cool. Yeah. So our next questions is what is the fondest memory that you have about Westminster, or since you started living here in the US?
So actually I've had a hard time to think about the fondest memory because there was a lot at Westminster. Our school always create opportunities, so I had a chance to get into the chamber orchestra last semester. So because of what is going on, everyone had to wear a mask when we were playing. So even if we could, sometimes we could not see the strings, and it was hard to read the sheet of music. So like we usually share the music sheet with each other, but because we had to keep the distance, so everyone had to be by themselves. And between that, I felt like we were by themselves, but we had the same direction, and we also have like the wire between each of us, and we also have the same goal. So we all made it. It was a greatest memory and like a big opportunity in my life. So yeah.
My fondest memory, or my best memory, since I got here, has to be my trips to the national parks around here. I went to both Moab and Canyonlands, and it was amazing. I've never seen anything like it, like the red rocks, the desert, and those shapes doesn't exist in Norway. That was pretty cool. I recommend everybody to go. And also all the activities around here has given me a lot of memories. Everything from ski touring and climbing to shopping and lunches. But skiing has definitely made the most memories, like alpine skiing, because with all the traveling, we experienced a lot of like ski areas, other states, meet new people, which is also pretty cool. Cool opportunity. I think, yeah, that has to be it.
That's awesome. Yes, that is the same thing for me, and I've yet to go to visit the national parks when it's right now, like the red rocks, and you have like the snow on top. I think it would look so cool, and then you don't have to deal with the temperature when you hike. So that'd be really, really cool.
Oh yeah, it was like 40 degrees, like Celsius degrees when I was there. It was insane.
Yeah.
Bearable. It was possible to be there.
Yes, yes, yes. So our next questions is, what has been the biggest challenge that you have experienced when you transitioned to living here in the US, in Salt Lake City, and how did you overcome this challenge?
Yeah, so just to give a little bit of context, I went to a boarding school back in Nepal. So just coming right out of a boarding school to the United States, the biggest shock was the cultural difference. The whole style of living here is quite different from back home. So acknowledging the cultural difference was the tricky part. But fortunately for me, that I had a very good roommate who is from Texas, America, right? So we're still very good friends. But Matt, my roommate, was pretty outgoing, and somehow that encouraged me to like participate in a lot of college activities, and even like activities just like friends hanging out, like any kind of activities that kind of made it easier for me. And Another thing is that also that I had a couple of seniors who were Nepali, so they kind of like they were there if I ever needed something as well. So I think it's a combination of that, and also I think the main thing was that that I was willing and able to participate in a lot of activities that not only like showed me what the culture here is, but at the same time I could share some of my own here too. So I think that made it much more easier to like transition here.
Actually, when I was still in my hometown, Vietnam, and I was thinking about studying abroad, I was listing a lot of challenge that I may have when I get into the United States and being by myself. For example, like the homesickness or maybe the languages. But when I got here, the biggest challenge that I had experienced was to know what is my passions and how to make my dream come true. That's the biggest challenge in my life. And fortunately, I met Quynh, so I had a chance to talk to her, and we had a lot of memories. So, and she helped me to find a way to be stronger, and yeah, and I'm gonna do like, I mean, I'm trying every day to make my dream come true, and that's the biggest challenge.
Maimi, would you mind sharing what your, you know, like what was your major when you started out, and then what is now, and kind of where you're going with that?
At the first time, I tried to register in the double major, nursing and music, and when she's trying to help me in any way. But after that, I found that my passions is all about music. I do like nursing as well. I love taking care of people, but it's not gonna be late, but I found my passion is music. So yeah, I love to do that every day.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. Yes, thank you. So our next questions is, and since we, let's see. So we at Westminster, we do have a requirement for all of our students to live on campus for the first 2 years. So I was hoping you guys can share with us what are your experiences living on campus.
Yeah, sure. So in my freshman year, I lived in a traditional style residence hall here. So it was called Hokel. So it was a little bit like dorm style, but still a little bit different. So basically, you shared a room with a friend, but then you had you have like a common space and a common community kitchen and all that. And it was a very fun experience for me because I could relate to that style living more with how I used to live in a boarding school. So it was a little bit familiar territory for me. But I think like that, I really enjoyed my time there because I used to hang out in the common area all the time. And we used to just hang around there, just sing and dance even sometimes, but mostly, like just talk, do homework, just like, just nothing. So yeah, we would just hang out there a lot. And I really enjoy that, and I really miss that now. And my resident advisor, who's a student that takes care of other students in the floor, was also a very supportive and encouraging person. So I think all of that combination helped a lot. And so in my second year, I became a resident advisor myself, and I lived in an apartment style building called Draw. And that style was a little bit different than from the traditional one because we live in an apartment. So basically, I shared an apartment with my roommates instead of like a whole floor. But the good thing that were there was that we had a separate kitchen for our own apartment. So I ended up experimenting a lot in cooking, and now I can cook decent, like not just edible, it's even tasty sometimes. Yeah, but I would say in terms of interaction, interaction was definitely a little bit less in the apartment style than it was in the traditional ones, but I still enjoyed my time there. It was a different style of living, and yeah, and I really enjoyed both of the years that I stayed in Westminster. And now I live off campus, but even today I still miss it because when I was living on campus, I could participate in like a lot of college activities, which now is a little bit limited for me.
So I was really nervous to arrive on campus because I had no idea. I'd never been to boarding school. I'd always lived at home. I had no idea what it was going to be like at all. But it was actually just such a cool experience. I met Allison and Sarah, and basically I was shown around, and it was so incredible because when I arrived, the campus, there had just been fresh snow. So it was like this fairy tale land with the campus just blanketed with snow. And then I was taken to, I stayed in an apartment style in the beginning. And honestly, that was the best experience for me as well, was just being on campus, being forced in a sense to like make friends. And I had the coolest roommates ever. One of my roommates was the RA. And so she was like always there for me. I didn't understand a few things like GPA and the differences, and she was always willing to explain it to me and sit down and help me out with different things. But I would say that one of my favorite memories is just like the different events that they have on campus. For example, during finals week, there's something called midnight breakfast, and all the faculty and staff come down and like serve you free hot breakfast in the middle of the night while you're studying for finals. And there's just like this vibe, and it's really, yeah, I think I agree with what you said, is that now I don't stay on campus anymore, but I do miss it because it's so nice, and the atmosphere and the community at Westminster is very supportive and encouraging and fun. So yeah.
Wow, thank you for sharing. Yes, that sounds really nice to be like studying for finals, and because you stay up late and you're gonna get hungry, and you just like use your brain too much, and then you're gonna get hungry, and then there's hot breakfast. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, so just a reminder for all of our guests and participants here, if you have any questions, you can either raise your hand. There's a little hand symbol up top that you can click, or you can put it in the chat. We've been chatting a lot on this side, and the way that you can open the chat is to click the little messenger symbol, the text symbol. So just put it in there, your comment, anything, you can ask the questions in there, and we will revisit it during our last 15 minutes. Yeah, and the next questions that we are going to discuss about is, how would you describe the, like how different is your experience at Westminster comparing to, say, your friends who go to colleges at home, or your friends who also go to US for college?
I think the biggest thing that stands out is how, I would say, hands-on the professors and faculty and staff are. So you arrive at your class, and you're not sitting in a room with 300 other students. You have a more personalized, intimate connection with your professors, and that's really conducive to learning and asking questions and having this connection. And I really, really felt supported when I arrived, and that was because I ask a lot of questions. So it was nice to be able to feel like I could do that, or I could reach out to my professors and they were able to reply to me with questions. I wasn't like just shoved onto a TA or something like that. So that's something that I've really appreciated, is having that intimate relationship and connection. And even classes that I took in my first year, I still see those professors and we still have conversations. And so that's really nice. And then I would say that the research is just really cool at Westminster. Because it's a smaller school, you're able to have more of a hands-on mentorship. So I think that's super unique. I feel like in other schools, you're kind of just from my experience with my friends, you're kind of just placed as like a tech and you just do like the dirty work. But at Westminster, you're able to experiment and you're able to be creative. And I think, yeah, that's just something that comes with the vibe that Westminster has.
Thank you. That's really cool, and I'm glad you and Swornim are able to do a lot of summer research and like the research at the Great Salt Lake. Yeah. So then let's see. Let's talk about the next thing is like what are your favorite things to do, maybe on campus in Salt Lake City and just in the surrounding area.
Yeah, I can go ahead and talk about that. Because I mean, Salt Lake got it all. Going to school in the city and skiing in the mountains. Can't be better than that. No, but for real, I need to point out how amazing like Salt Lake is for skiing. Salt Lake is the ultimate place to go skiing. I think we have as much as 9 resorts within an hour of Westminster, and usually they're like 20-30 minutes away. So it's really convenient. And thank you, Nathan, for the shout out in the chat. Yeah, we've been doing quite well. We have a strong team this year, which is cool. But also on the side, the powder is amazing. I went up today, and the place is hard. This place is hard to not like. They got everything. I spend most of my time skiing, training on campus, hanging out with friends. But on campus, I think my favorite place is the library. I personally, I love the library. I go there often to study both alone and with friends. It's a really nice library, quiet, and they offer everything, help and computers and study rooms, which is great.
I can also share a little bit. Henriette, I have to agree with you. The library is also one of my favorite places. It's gorgeous. And also one of my favorite things is the 4 different seasons that you get. It's so cool. So you have the winter where it's snowy, and then I never grew up with snow. So whenever it snows, I just go crazy, and I don't ski. I mean, I ski, but I suck at it, but it's still really cool. And then during spring, everything just blossoms and it's like a whole different environment, and so forth with all the other seasons. And so each time I visit Great Salt Lake, it's just like, it's brand new. It's like a new environment every single time I go. And so that's just been really, really cool. Again, just how central Westminster is, it's been one of my favorite things, is you can drive 10-20 minutes and you're in the mountains, or you can drive 10-20 minutes and you're downtown. So that's been really nice. And I think just the people, Swornim, like you're saying, the cultures, that was definitely something to get to adapt to, but I found it a lot easier than what I initially thought it was going to be, because people are welcoming and friendly. And so yeah, I would say, yeah, that definitely helped.
Yes, that's super cool. I have to add into that. So, you know, for me and me, we grow up drinking the boba tea. Do you know boba tea with the little tapioca pearl? If you don't, we need to talk. We're all gonna need to go. So Westminster is in Sugar House, and it's like you walk 15 minutes and you walk to this like the main part of Sugar House that have like Barnes and Noble, which is a coffee shop, have Nordstrom Rack, have like the Whole Food Market, yoga studios. It have a Vietnamese restaurant, and then it's also have tea bar that have the boba tea. And I would walk over there, and then I would tell myself that this walk deserves, you know, a drink. It's sugary, so it's not that healthy, but yeah, I definitely love that. And I also have never seen snow until I got here, and you know, and I'm also I was born and raised in Ho Chi Minh City. It's a big city. I've, you know, never been out to the mountains and anything like that. But because everybody, what do they do here? Like after 5 or after class, everybody just go hiking, and you kind of just get into it. Like, yeah, if you don't know how to do like the, you know, advanced thing like skiing, you can just hike. So I got into hiking, and I think it's a very like nice way to like decompress and like exercise. That you can just catch up on that. Yeah, so our last questions is, what's one piece of advice you would give to a prospective student when they're looking into applying or transitioning to Westminster College, or just, you know, US college in general?
So I want to share a little bit as a music student, and so that's there's non-stop practicing in my whole life to bring the good melody to everyone. So the one thing that I have learned from Westminster College is we know it's hard to make something true, but it's much harder. It takes more works, and even maybe it takes your tears just not to make something wrong. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, if I can give you guys 3 pieces of advice, I would say be open, be friendly. You'll meet a lot of new people, probably different people, but I promise you, everybody that I met is super, super nice, super friendly. So my next piece of advice will be the same as Cayla said. Everybody's helpful. The professors are amazing. They're there to support you, so ask questions. And my third piece of advice will be bring a folder for all the documents. America demands a lot of documentations for everything. So keep a folder, put everything in the same place, your passport, admission papers, everything. And also have an adapter. I didn't bring one the first year. And European style outlets does not work here in the US. So that will be the advices I got for you guys.
Yes, electricity, you guys. We have like 220 voltage in Vietnam, and like you gotta be careful when you bring stuff from the US and trying to plug it in Vietnam, or you're gonna fry it. So definitely. And with your passport and thing, I learned this during my orientation, which was 10 years ago, which is put it in a Ziploc bag so that you know, you don't wash it or, you know, get water into it or anything. Your passport and your visa stuff is important. So yeah, now is we have about, you know, five minutes left. If you have any questions, you can put it in the chat, or you can come unmute. Again, you can click on that microphone. You're like mute right now. You can come unmute and ask your questions. There's no good or bad questions. We are here to answer your questions and make sure you're, you know, to solve your concerns. So I see that Sian asked a question. Was it difficult to make friends as an international student because of the difference in culture? And feel free to jump in, just whoever.
I can start this one, and you guys can add your experience afterwards. For me, it was all about asking questions too, like Cayla. If you dare to ask for help, you suddenly got a friend. You ask for help to find the way, and you meet the same. Campus is small, so you meet the same people, usually several times a week, and they suddenly becomes your friend afterwards. So ask questions. That's my piece of advice.
I agree with what you said, Henriette. I think just like ask questions, and then when they hear that you have an accent, or like it's just all of a sudden so like, everyone's just so curious. Where are you from? That's so cool. Have you heard about this? Can I take you here? Come here. You know, like people are so willing to, you know, be friends with you and help you. And yeah, I agree with what you said.
Yeah, and everybody's in the same boat, if you believe it or not. Everybody's alone in some way, and I think everybody's open to another friend.
Yes. And I just want to add into that. I have the exact same questions. I was like, okay, so I don't know, you know, the most popular movies in the US, like, you know, like what am I gonna talk about to the people here, right? But it was the exact things that like you're so different that people get curious about you. And it's like actually it's a strength that you have because there's just so much things to talk about. You know, like they look at your lunchbox and they're like, what are you eating? Like, did I smell fish sauce? It's a Vietnamese speak, you guys. But yeah, so thank you so much for the great answers. And I have a next question from Maria Clara. Did you guys share the resident hall with American students or international students? And if you share rooms?
So yeah, I can go first. So my experience was a little bit different because when I joined Westminster, I was supposed to have a roommate, but my roommate did not show up for a while, so I was without a roommate for 4 months. So I stayed in a room meant for 2 people, but I was there by myself. And after 4 months, like a friend that I had made called Matt, he was in need for a roommate as well. And then we worked it out, and he decided to move in the room that I was living in. And then, yeah, I had an American roommate, and I'm very glad I did because that really helped me a lot. Like it made it so much easier to yeah, you know, like get used to the culture here. So and yeah, so I think I made a lifelong friend because of being a roommate.
Thank you. Yeah, and I see. So Nathan was like have a follow-up questions for you, Swornim. He asked, can you tell, because you were a resident advisor, can you tell us about some of the programming or the events you have gotten the people to participate in?
Yes, sure. So every hall, like every person, everyone has a different interest, right? But as resident advisors, where we learn to like kind of like incorporate all of those into the programs we make. For example, one of the programs that I did that was very famous in the sense that a lot of my residents showed up was paint night. So I just got this idea of doing paint night, and then I just brought some canvases and some painting colors, and then we just watched a YouTube video from Bob Ross, and then just followed it along, and it turned out to be great. And there's just an example of one of the programs that we did, but usually resident advisors do around 11 programs throughout the year, so that you know the residents have time to engage to each other and get to know each other.
Cayla, you need to show us again and kind of, is that Westminster?
It was just a Bob Ross painting that that we did. It was so fun. That was such a hit. Those are the things that I like loved about staying on campus. Everybody just comes, and the guy with like he's got this hair, and everybody just like paints, and you know it's not the best, but that's not the point. Thank you, Henriette.
Yeah, that's super awesome. That's so cool. I love paint night. Fun story. So I went to a paint night just like on my own, and there was like the cup to like wash your brush, and there was your drink. And you know where this is going, because I I drink the wrong cup. And I immediately have to like run and like, yeah, throw everything out. But yeah, that was it's I can say that I taste paintbrush water. So I'll put that on my resume. But yes. Yeah, awesome. So I also would like to let our panelists know that you're welcome to put in your name and your Westminster email. So our prospective future Westminster Griffin students can maybe email you to ask more questions if they are interested specifically in skiing. Again, you can ask Henriette a lot about that, like ask her about the quality of the powder. And or if you're interested in music, we have a really cool music department, and Miami's are very involved. You know, and then Cayla and Swornim with research. Yeah, so I saw that people start sending that in, so that's really great. And then let's see. Whew, everybody's typing. Let's see.
So Nathan has a very good question. His question is, can our international students, what happens in orientation basically? So I'll just briefly say that. So in orientation, when I joined in, international student orientations was a little bit like a day or two before the orientation for the whole class. So basically, we just sit around, we got to know each other, and orientation is really important part of the I think it's a really important event to attend, because that's the point where you get to know like different places in campus, plus like which resources in campus like you can go to for what, and also it's a very good place to make friends, you know, because everyone is in the same boat as you are. For most people, you know, this is new college, you know, and then new part of life. So I think orientation is a very important thing to attend.
Oh, I have something. Abigail asked, thank you for your questions, Abigail. How many projects and homework do you usually have? That's a great question, because I bet it looks very different because all of the different majors that you all have.
Yeah, it does. And also from like classes to classes, it's quite different. Some professors like to have assignments each week to make sure you paid attention to what we went through in class and make sure you understand. And it's also nice to repeat it. So some professors likes a lot of homework and some project. Others tend to have more project, more like, let's say 4 big assignments during a semester. So it really depends in my major. I don't know if it's different for you guys.
I think I agree with you. It's very different depending on the class that you take. But what's really nice is that before you take the class, you're able to read more about it and what it's going to entail. And so you can make that decision for yourself if you want to do that or not. But I think what's nice about Westminster's ethos is it's not so centered around just like grading and just chugging in parent learning style fashion. It's more centered about like learning and discovering new things and having discussions and actively participating, which I think is really helpful.
Yes, I totally agree. So when I was studying back in Nepal, so homeworks and assignments were not a big part of your grade at all. So there used to be exam, and if you do good in the exam, then you do good in the exam, and if you don't, you don't. But here, I really like that here, that homework and assignments has like very big weight in determining your grade. So it's more like the homework and assignments are more like a revision or prevision, you know, in a way. So it's not super hard, but at the same time, it kind of like makes your brain work a little bit, especially in computer science. Intro level classes have lots of homeworks and assignments because it's quite it's important, but at the same time, there's so much to learn in the first intro classes. But then later on, it becomes less but more difficult. Yeah.
So yeah, I totally agree with all the ideas about homeworks and the assessment for the courses. So I'm gonna just talk specifically as a music student. So for like some major course, it's gonna be very like I won't say it's hard, but it's more about the emotional than like just writing down or like doing a math. So if you are a music student, it's about the emotional and making good music. So you're gonna have the experience on practicing much more than doing the assignments.
Yeah. And how many hours did you usually practice for the orchestra? I can't remember. It was like per day or something like that.
That's a great question. So actually, I spend 4 hours a day to practice for the chamber orchestra.
Right.
So
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It's a lot of practicing, but it will pay off. You put in, you get out what you put in. It's so true. And I guess our last questions is, what are your favorite restaurants and places to hang out in Salt Lake City? Now that you haven't hang out in like a year because of COVID, you're like, my home, is that count? But
That's true. But you have
about pre-COVID.
Yeah, you have Sugar House Park, which is really nice. You have Sugar House 5 minutes away. You have downtown with all the malls and all the stores, skyscrapers. You can just walk around, cafes, bakeries, everything is there. But the closest lunch places I am a big fan of is like a place called Trio, I think, and even Stevens. Those are the closest and best ones. Otherwise, you have to go downtown.
Yeah, so I used to go a lot in Sugar House Coffee. It's like a small coffee shop where you can just go with your friends to like study, to group study, or just like go there to do homework and like drink coffee at the same time. And I really used to enjoy that place, but like Quynh said, it's been a year since that has not happened, so I'm starting to forget the feeling. But yeah, it was fun.
Nathan, I'm actually glad that you asked how safe is it to live and study here, because in South Africa, there's definitely a safety concern that, you do have to be more vigilant, and more aware and so forth. So coming here, it was really, really nice to feel safe. I feel I'm able to go to Sugar House Park by myself, run on the roads. And so I think, yeah, that's been really nice, is I feel very safe here. Obviously, anywhere you go, it's not like you should walk down a dark alleyway by yourself at 1 o'clock in the morning or something, but definitely I feel secure. But Sugar House Park, literally walking distance from Westminster, is really gorgeous. And then my favorite restaurant to hang out or to go to is Ekamai. It's this Thai restaurant literally right up like the road, and they have like these really good lunch specials. That's my favorite.
So I just want to add one more place that make really good food is our school cafeteria. They make like all kind of dishes, like different kinds of dishes every day, and they did Japanese, Thai food, or a lot of countries' food. So I really love it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I already share about boba tea, but I was super happy to know that Westminster have a boba tea that is walking distance. But yeah, and I guess so. Yeah, so it's been a great time talking to everyone. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to email our panelists. They put their email and their name in there, so please do that. Just write down the email address and ask our panelists the questions. And yeah, and me and Nathan, we also put our emails in there. So if you have questions about the process, like, you know, like what test score or what transcript I need to turn in, and when do I hear back from you guys, you know, scholarship questions, what do I have to do for my visa interview, Nathan and I will be very, very happy to walk you through from the very beginning to the end. And yeah, so thank you so much for our panelists to share your very authentic experience. I think it's very helpful. It's give great insights to our new prospective students of your, you know, diverse experience. And yeah, I hope that everybody have a good night or a good morning, depending on where you are. But thank you so much. All right, goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.